Welcome to the first episode of the Comic Pal video review. This time around, I'm going to be doing the Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 39. Just like on when Dan and I do the regular Comic Pal, there's going to be lots of spoilers. So if you just want to know upfront how this book is, the takeaway is that it should have been really a 0.1 issue. It would have worked really well as that. And second of all, it's ground we've kind of covered before. I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. So the issue starts off with Grady and Peter Parker doing an experiment in the lab. Just like the last time this happened, the experiment ended up going really wrong, and just like last time this happened, we end up with a radically different world because of Spider-Man's involvement with Grady's experiment. Last time around, and it's mentioned in this issue, Spidey goes through this door that takes him out of the world for 24 hours, and then the world is destroyed because he wasn't there to stop something. This time around, he gets transported into a world where he doesn't exist. And again, the world is completely different. Of course, since this is Peter Parker we're talking about, we have to mix in some self-doubt into the issue. So it looks like the world's actually better off without Spider-Man. And so we get a couple pages where we see that, or a couple frames where we see that things are better off without Spider-Man. Then we get into the meat of the issue, where Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, however you want to look at it, sees these earthquakes, feels these earthquakes, and if he's in a place where something happened before in his life, some key event in his life, he goes back in time and relives that key moment in his life. What I like about what they do here is that they actually go back and they make the art style look like the first issues of Amazing Spider-Man, even if it doesn't kind of make sense the way that Peter Parker would have dressed to go to school nowadays, given how old he is and how far back in the past it was. But that's kind of the fuzzy logic we accept with comic books. Of course, the ultimate in things being better off if Peter Parker wasn't Spider-Man, or maybe even didn't exist, is that Uncle Ben is alive. Of course, this is huge for Peter Parker. Ben's the whole reason he becomes Spider-Man. The whole with great powers comes great responsibility. Everything's always about Uncle Ben. So here we are, seeing, hey, if he wasn't Spider-Man, or maybe if he didn't exist, Uncle Ben would be alive. So we've got this whole setup for Peter now. Oh my God, I shouldn't have ever been alive, And then eventually the Avengers come to see what's going on with all these earthquakes. Peter Parker has to convince them that he is who he says he is. And Peter Parker goes on reliving different events in his life until eventually he's able to come back to the present and he exists again. Now, given that Marvel considers their 0.1 issues to be a great jumping on point for new readers, I think this would have made a great 0.1. By contrast, Marvel's just been using the 0.1s randomly all over the place. Sometimes they are new story beats. X-Factor seems to be doing that a lot. With Fantastic Four, the most recent 0.1 had an alternate universe where the Fantastic Four came from Nazi Germany. Amazing Spider-Man and other comics, X-Men comics, have been really just using the 0.1s all over the place. I think that where this works well as an annual is that it kind of ties together all the stories that have been happening recently with Horizon Labs. But although it does ignore Ends of the Earth, which seems to have some pretty strong ramifications for what's going to happen with Horizon Labs, what's going to happen with Peter Parker's future. I have a strong feeling that he's going to end up going back to his old self or in some kind of new status quo, especially after finding out that Doc Ock has been using modifications of everything he's developed at Horizon Labs. So I just feel this would have worked a lot better as a 0.1. The only advantage is that annuals, generally speaking, are extra size, double size or more, so you get a little more room to tell a story. But the story doesn't really seem all that compelling. I'd say it's about average, so I'd give it 3.5 out of 5 as I said in the game.
Strong hand, strong mind.